think of peer pressure, you're harking back to your early childhood or adolescence, and for me, not so much. I actually grew up down on the border, just south of here, Cochise County, really rural, wild territory on a ranch. And so we were always daring each other to ride chicken on our dirt bikes and do truth or dare. And I was actually with a weird pack of friends where we would write dirty little stories and we'd try to outdo each other. We just came up with our own adventure. As teenagers, we'd actually drive the 10 minutes to Mexico. We'd go across the border, we'd dirty dance, get drunk, and make it home in time for sunrise and to do chores. And so that was kind of like life growing up on the border. I don't really put it into the peer pressure category. It was just a symptom of living down there, you know, wild and unruly. So college was like the pinnacle of peer pressure. And I remember I was filling out my dorm application, and it was a couple, month or two before coming up here to the university. And at the end of the dorm application, it said, would you like to join us for sorority rush? And that sounded like so awesome. But I didn't know what a sorority rush was, so I looked over at my mom and I said, hey Mom, what's sorority rush? And she instantly recoils in disdain and said, that's a horrible idea. They just party all the time. No, 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 no. And I was like, why, yes, I would love to join you for sorority rush. What a fabulous idea. So you come a little early. You get a letter. It's like, come like a week or two early. And I was like, hells yeah, I'm blowing Hereford, Arizona, later days. I quit my babysitting job up on the fort. I was babysitting a pack of Army brats, and I packed my old hoopty full of all my junk with my, I thought I was hot shit. I was bringing like a black and white TV with me to college. And I hit the road broke as a joke. I didn't have shit. I had no money. As a matter of fact, before I even came into the dorm area at U of A, I stopped off at a couple watering holes and filled out some applications knowing I was going to need a job. And so I filled out a couple applications, and then I pull into the dorm. I mean, I'm barely making it. I'm leaking radiator fluid. I mean, I barely can make it. And it's like this crazy new world. I mean, we've got Beamers and Mercedes and cool-ass Jeeps and cabriolets and hordes and packs of tan, blonde, awesome, boobalicious bitches in and out of Coronado Dormitory tampon towers. The 9 floors of horrors is what we called it. And they're followed by their moms and dads. You've got these like rich moms and dads are like in Italian leather loafers, with the gold wire rim glasses, and the moms are just like well-coiffed, more put together, 25-year-old more versions of their daughters. And they've got like arms full of bags of like awesome bags from really high-end department stores, and they're like setting up their little princesses, right? And here I am with my homespun shit and my like, my quilt and like my black and white TV, and I'm like, oh my God, Becky, look at her money. So by the time I get upstairs, and thank God there is a little note from Miguel from La Paria Suiza. Miguel had called me because I came in and filled an application, and so he was going to hire me to wait tables at La Paria Suiza the very next night I could start. And I was like, thank God, I'm going to need some money. And so that evening, we all converged down in the lobby, and we were going to meet with our sorority rush advisors. But oh my God! And they were like super perky and bouncy and awesome, and they were going to teach us how to be super perky and awesome too. And they were going to give us some fashion tips and some makeup tips and talking points so we could get along with the girls and get some conversation going tomorrow. And so they told us that we were going to have to go back up to our dorm room, we were going to have to write a bio and have some talking points. And me being the writer, because I wrote all those naughty stories when I was little, I was like, hell yeah, I can do that, And so I didn't even go upstairs. I went to Goodwill, got my little server's outfit from the night before, then I headed back up to the dorm, and I like banged out this amazing like ridiculously dimensional bio of me growing up on the border, and I went to sleep. And so the next night, we're all herded into a herd, and they're like, okay, so like the next 3 days we're gonna meet, we're gonna go to like 15 houses, and we're gonna like, meet all these girls, and you're gonna have your talking points. So for the next 3 days, they herded us in 110-degree weather from palatial house to palatial house, okay? And the format's pretty much the same. So you arrive to the big sorority house, and you're standing on the lawn, and you hear the chanting, and it gets louder and louder and louder, and yeah, and let me in, motherfuckers. God, it's like 110 degrees. And these big palatial doors open to the kingdom. And you're like, oh my God. And there's jazz hands and confetti and pom-poms and yay and sis boom ba, and they're singing like a song to like a popular song, but the words are changed with like their sorority shit, It's all like super exciting, and some girl grabs you and she hands you like a glass of punch. It's like super sugary, and a sugar cookie on a nice little napkin, and you're so hot, and you're like drinking the Kool-Aid literally, and eating the sugar cookie, and then they're trotting out like the homeless man and the disabled kid and the abused animal philanthropies that they work for, and they're giving you wild stories about spirit nights and date dashes and pep rallies, and then they show you the commercial kitchen. It's stocked full of goodies, and they're talking about like all-you-can-eat spaghetti nights and pancakes, and it's like heavenly. And you're on this like sugar cookie, like punch, crack high, pie pie, crack high, and you're like, yeah. And they're like, join us. And then they march you up to like the private sleeping room, which is awesome. It smells like a freshly opened box of scented tampons. And you're like, this is where it's at. And so a girl grabs you by the arm and she takes you over, and you sit down and you do this like speed round dating. It's crazy. You talk to like 30 girls in 30 minutes, and it's all pretty much the same. It's like, hi, my name's Mara. I'm from Del Mar, Scottsdale, Scarsdale. Where are you from? And I'm like, I'm from Hereford, Arizona. She's like, is that down by the mall? And I'm like, no, that's down like by the border. And she's like, Mexico? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, spring break? And I'm like, no. And I'm like, like Douglas, like Nogales, like, Naco, like I grew up near Naco, Douglas, like the guy that was on the news, like recently, the guys, like the ranchers, like running around checking fence line. He smells something weird, he looks down like an old well, and he sees like 14 decapitated bodies, like decomposing in line. It turns out that these are the people that dug the trenches from the underground, thing from Mexico to the United States, and then the drug dealer cartels got them, and they got rid of them. And did you know that lime, like, helps with decomposition? So that's like where I'm from. After a while, I found it kind of insulting that they didn't know about that. So like, I told that story like every single time in every single house. By the end of 3 days, I was exhausted because not only was I telling my cartel story, but like at the end of the night, I was actually going to work for the cartel at La Pariasusa. So I was taking off my Laura Ashley dress and my pearls and putting on my little, like, chica outfit. And, I was making $100 a night. I was getting molested in the walk-in, but that's okay. I could overlook that. They were sending me home with tacos, so I was good with that. So I'd come home every night and tell all my sorority Burge sisters talking about their houses that they were going to get into and the tri-deltas everybody else has, and the delta gammas, which were the dick grabbers, and they really were dick grabbers. I'll tell you, I had a delta gamma roommate, as an aside. So, it's bid night. Okay, we get to bid day. Bid day is like the worst fucking Valentine's Day ever. Okay, it sucks. So you're sitting around and you're waiting for your invitation to the house. And all like the cutesy rich girls are getting their invitations, and the presented with this beautiful invitation, and these things rock. They're like your wedding invitation. I mean, it's on creamy linen, it's beautiful. You open it up, some gauzy piece of shit falls out. It's embossed with gold, and it's amazing, and I pull it out. And I got invited to join some sorority that sounds like a sexually transmitted disease, and their members don't really do much to overcome that, stereotype. And the thing, it was kind of a buzzkill because with my invitation, I was handed an estimate for, it was like an invoice. Like, here's how much it's going to cost you to, pledge our house, and here's the monthly dues. And I'm like, fuck that. I can just hang out at La Maria Suiza and get an STD, and I'll make some money on the side. So that's how I was going to twerk my way through college. And let's fast forward a couple keg parties later, and I actually transferred out of state because I was, partying with my knucklehead friends from Sierra Vista. And it's the same thing over again, except this time I fell in with a really seedy, dark, dangerous crowd. It's the newspaper crew, college newspaper writers. I was an editor on the newspaper crew, and that's a snarky bunch. I think I'd rather take on 3 hungry sorority girls than one hungover college newspaper editor. And somehow they forced me into it, I don't know how, to cover the annual homecoming fraternity sorority variety show. For a newspaper editor, that's kind of a dream job. And you can imagine the snarkiness, the up late night snarkiness that went down in this newsroom, and the subsequent piece that came out after. I was like the Salman Rushdie of the small, little university town. I'd have sorority bitches calling up my answering machine, trying to butch up their voice a little bit. And I was like, what are you gonna do? Beat me up and give me an STD with a side of anorexia? It's whatever. So that's kind of how that played out. And, the snarky news writers were really, kind of ended up being my crowd. And it kind of comes full circle because tonight, the reason why I'm able to be here with you is because I actually married a fraternity guy. And he's the nicest, most rule-abiding guy ever, and I'm so not. And he's the guy that's staying at home watching the kids so the snarky writer girl can be here.